Ankara fabric has no origin in Africa. They are telling me that Ankara is not African print. Then which one is now African print? The Chinese imported Adire inspired print. It's not Adire. It's printed fabric.
Aso-Oke used to be used as a currency at the point in time.
Yeah, even Akwete.
Interesting.
When you tell someone that textile was used, or rather fabric or fashion or patterns were used as a protest at the time. Some patterns that if you are a commoner, you can wear them. If you wear them, they will sell you into slave trade. So Uli is originally a wall art and body art. Uli is endangered, right? The originators of this Uli, they're all gone. When Christianity came, they abolished all of those things.
Yeah, majority of our culture was seen as fetish versus just simple culture.
This is Moyibo that came. This is Moyibo that just came the other day, and she now wants to take over the place. What did I do?
We have Adire, which is predominantly from the Yoruba people, which is from the south, and we have the from the Israel, and from the north.
So apart from promoting the art and preserving the textile, also the people. If you don't preserve the people that makes this textile itself won't be preserved. They are just exchanging money. They are not making money. But because I know I won't be there all the time, I have to teach them business 101.
You happen to have included Chimamanda. Talk about that project.
I don't talk sustainability. I do sustainability.
I know you. I've gone through your work. I've seen the amazing work you're doing. But for those that don't know you, please tell us about you and what you have to.
Okay, my name is IFEBUCHE MADU. I'm the founder and creative director of Akwete. So we are a textile company in Nigeria that produces handcrafted textiles for fashion and interior design companies globally. Our business is B2B, so it's for businesses, and we have been in business for like 7 years. Producing it's a custom design for fashion designers. We also work with or partner with artisans across different states in Nigeria to create our product. So apart from the in-house staff that we have in Lagos, we also work with other local artisans to create our print.
So you have a spread of about a range. Give us a range of how many artisans you have been able to work with
so
in the last 7 years.
The goal is to promote indigenous textiles, Nigerian indigenous textiles. And for us to achieve this, it's not like some of those indigenous fabrics are not here. So you have to locate them where they are. And that means you work with a lot of people, you partner with a lot of people. I could say for over 7 years. Initially, before I had my own studio, I outsourced my product. So it's basically what the customer wants. I know where to go get it, whether it's in the north, in the west, in the east. I have these relationships across Nigeria. For these 7 years, I've worked with not less than 150 to 200 artisans.
Beautiful. So one of the things that I'm curious about is you've not spoken to us about what's led you to Akwete and how you sort of projected yourself, particularly as a B2B, and you started positioning yourself for not just as a fabric styler, but as a storyteller also. So tell me about that.
So I studied fine art and design in University of Port Harcourt, specialty in textile and fashion. So I've loved fashion as a kid growing up, something colorful and all of those things. And I remember mothers, they love Ankara so much. That's all you can see. You see in their wardrobe. And when they buy these pieces, the leftover, they can use it to make gowns for their children and all of those things. So I loved wearing Ankara. Even my mom's old wrapper, I can turn them into skirts. or something like that. And I mean, when I was in school, in my 300 level, doing one of our research, African trends, African fabrics, I stumbled into the origin of Ankara, and I realized that Ankara fabric has no origin in Africa. Like it's from Dutch, it's from, name it. I'm like, okay, wow. Before then, I haven't seen any indigenous prints like the Adire, the Akwete, and all of those things. I haven't set my eyes on them before. What I know is the imported fabrics like the Ankara, which Ankara was sold to me as African print. So that was now like, okay, if they are telling me that Ankara is not African print, then which one is now African print? Because if I go home to tell my mom that this is not African print, that we have adopted, gave them names, like we have Crystal, we have all of those things.
Yeah.
My mom might not believe me.
Yeah.
You get. So I started making research to identify African prints. My first question was, which is then Nigerian print? Then I started researching Nigerian prints. I started discovering like fabrics that I've never heard of. Even some of my lecturers, I'm sorry to say, don't know about, and they're in textiles. So that was how I started, not just to, give it to them, give to people to wear, but to promote, protect them. It's because protecting them is important. In as much as we appreciate them, is to protect them and share it to people across the world. Let them have the taste of what authentic Nigerian print is all about.
And you've been doing this for the past 7 years, which is such an incredible work. And this year, by September, you are looking to do a show tag in the beginnings.
There was clothes.
There was clothes.
Yes.
So, how did you? What's that about? And then I can't wait. Just tell me.
So, in the bid to share our textile legacies, I want people to know what textile was used for, not just the clothing and the fashion. Again, is a way of respecting the effort of people that pioneered some movement through textile. When you tell someone that textile was used, or rather fabric for fashion or patterns were used as a protest at the time. We hear textile is a means of communication, identification. Identification is very plain, because when I wear Adire abroad, oh, this is Nigerian print. Then what about all of the political agenda, protest? So I want people to so we are exploring how textiles were, the means textiles were used at a particular time, especially during transatlantic slave trade era. Where textiles were a means of trade by barter exchange.
Aso-Oke used to be used as a currency at the point in time.
Yeah, even Akwete.
Interesting. Beautiful.
Yeah, so it was all of these stories. We don't just want to tell it as a story. We want an experiential. We want people to experience, like immersive experience of what this looked like as at that time.
It's just hitting me right now that one of the reasons why there's been an increase in the amount of people that are wearing Adire now and wearing Akwete is probably because of the reason you just mentioned now, which is that is what is our home. Because yes, not a lot of people know that Ankara is not by Nigeria, has no roots from Nigeria. It's just sold to us, and we almost internalize it as our identity, and it's not really the truth.
We adopted it like our second
culture. And it's so interesting that this business is reclaiming that narration and being able to have us talk about it. But walk me through in the beginning, there was clothes.
Yeah, so in the beginning there was clothes as a narrative. We're telling a narrative, but we want people to explore textile not just as clothing, but as a voice, as a statement, as a message, as an attitude. They were an attitude at a point. when for Akwete designs, there are some patterns that if you are a commoner, you can't wear them. If you wear them, they will sell you into slave trade. Yeah. So they are for royals, for kings. So you don't wear such patterns. So when you tell these stories, you tell people, oh, this was. Sometimes they might not really understand it. So in the beginning, there was clothes. There are it's in three segments. We have the documentary, we have the book, we have the exhibition. Exhibition, we are going to also have live performances. We are going to have immersive experience where you see an Akwete woman weaving. Akwete was the originator of Akwete's Dadawan Kata. It was said that it was given to her in a dream, right? So we want to take people through that journey of immersing themselves on what it looks like, being in a space where how would I put it, like a spiritual kind of journey at the same time. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you want it to mean now? I understand how Adire, Akwete had meant something during the colonial Nigerian period. But for you right now, what do you want it to translate to? Particularly because we don't live in an age where a particular symbol and then you can be sold into slavery. What would this symbol mean for us now? And there's another aspect I believe is one of the unique addition to the show, which is the uli. Can you walk me through that?
Okay, so uli is originally a wall art and body art, right? So, from the beginning, I talked about celebrating the originators of these things, appreciating them, and keeping the culture alive. So, for uli being the wall art, so my mother also has uli on her hand, and so she told me the story. Uli was basically an art for beautification, adornment. As at the time, they don't wear clothes. So, as kids, they used to beautify their bodies with uli. It was just something, as women, we need to look beautiful. Right? Like she said, they were naked.
Interesting.
I can't remember how it's a long.
Yeah, I can imagine.
My grandmother had uli. My mom had uli. Even my aunties, they all had uli then. So, it was just something that, they also use it as a means of, different tribes of, should I say tribe when it comes to a small village? Different villages, they have some marks.
Almost sub-tribes.
Yeah, sub-tribes, exactly. Thank you. They used to identify, oh, you're from this, because they don't wear clothes, like all of these things. So now uli is endangered, right? Meaning that the originators of this uli, they're all gone. My mom was the only person I interviewed because I wanted to part of the documentary to travel to interview, but all of them are gone. My mom is not an uli artist, but she has uli.
And we don't have a lot of people bearing it as a body hat, in nowadays.
Because what happened is that for some reasons, I don't know. My mom also said she doesn't know why. All of a sudden, they now started saying that, oh, you have uli, you belong to a secret society, and not for some reason. Yeah, she told me when Christianity came, they abolished all of those things, attributing it to one evil spiritual.
Yeah, majority of our culture was seen as fetish versus just simple culture, just beautification.
I'm a Christian.
Identification also.
Right, I'm a Christian, and I own it anyway. I'm a Christian. So, but this part of the where they said it is bad, and I don't seem to understand that, because it was something done harmlessly, innocently. Uli is a leaf. There is what they call uli leaf. It's like the color is indigo. Just cut the leaves, squeeze it. There is probably how they normally process it. Then use it to draw patterns. It's not even permanent. It stays for 1 week, 2 weeks, and it's gone. And the beautiful thing why I want to appreciate these women that did uli at the time was, when you have passion for something, when you have joy for something, these women paint. Uli is a wall art, right? And what it means is that they paint this uli knowing fully that when the next rainy season comes, it washes off.
Yeah.
But they still have to paint again. So it's a continuous art. It's not like if you paint this season, maybe in 2 or 3 seasons you need to repaint the wall again.
I think it's also this whole idea that everything that is our culture is tagged fetish, and it's not usually the case, particularly because when I read into the historical base of things like uli and even the decline of it, it's only declined, particularly even outside, just because when Christianity came, religion came, and then is seen as something fetish. There's also the fact that our material changed for our housing. We had more wears now, like you're mentioning, like your parents were not fully clothed, so naturally that was their coverage, their representation of who they are. Like the Yoruba people had marks on their face, so to a degree it's because we have our representation moves beyond just simple marks on our body, and even our urbanization caused that the material, then it was models and they had all these woolly patterns as moral on them, but it has now been, it's a cement case now. Those that do their research and understand the root of it and the reverence it holds, it's just so fascinating to come about. We have Adire. We have Adire, which is predominantly from the Yoruba people, which is from South. And we have the Wuli from the East. We have anything from the North.
So we are on a revival mission. So what it means is that we don't want to overfeed people just one time. We want to be feeding them all the time. What we think we have the right to know. So the northern fabrics and some other fabrics from different parts of Nigeria is coming up in the next exhibition. So we keep rolling them out as it's good.
So I can't wait. I assume I'm going to be seeing a lot of pattern, because the North happen to have a lot of unique patterns, symbolism, in particularly in the architecture. But in fabric, we've not really seen that. All I know is there. Is it senator or call it Ogaki? I forgot what material is called. As a Igbo woman, you make Adire. What have been some of the backlash you've probably faced, and then how did you do you deal with that?
So I actually started with Adire because it was the most popular, like it's very popular then. Now we have diversified into other handmade fabrics. I did my IT at the Nike Arts Gallery in Oshobo. So I mean, apart from the language barrier, language barrier was one thing when I was learning. Then the issue of tribalism when I started the business. So I was outsourcing, like I said earlier. I work with artisans. Like I have access to any artisans I want in anywhere. So because I have worked with them one way or the other, and I like to supervise, go there myself. So the issue of Omoibo.
I think it's probably why you also know how to speak a lot of Yoruba today, because it has now become a part of your trade.
The issue of Omoibo, this Omoibo that came, this Omoibo. I'm like, okay, because for me, I don't know for what reason why everywhere I've walked, I mean, I say everywhere, they tend to like me. And some of the Yoruba people that, also there, because we were outsourcing, so many people come for one person to do a job for them, and sometimes they choose to do my job, and most times they want me to be an intermediary between them and
the person that does the job,
who is the Yoruba person. And I remember one day a woman was saying things about me.
But she didn't know that you understand Yoruba.
I wasn't really understanding what she was saying, but the person she was telling was telling me what the woman was saying about me. So it was very funny. And what was she saying? This Omoibo that just came the other day, and she now wants to take over the place. What did I do? This woman will still call me, please call this person, please help me beg him to do my work. And I will call and beg. But it is what it is.
I think it's probably a lifelong battle you are going to keep winning. But one of the things that I think about when I look into your work and I've seen the amount of work, I think you're not just making people recognize that our culture is beautiful.
Okay.
I think you're also reviving that they had meaning. You are also showing the world that we have a story to tell, and if we don't tell it by ourselves, and we're only focused on just tribe or who what belongs to what, it's about the culture. It has nothing to do about you or your tribe. It's about, as much as possible, let's ensure that none of this culture has to fade. Which brings me back to why you've chosen to particularly you have less than 7 living you have less than 7 or even 3 existing originators of the Uli art, and now you have artists that living artists that are inspired by it, originating from people like Professor Aso-Oke and many artists that came through. I know about 6 living artists that are consciously adding it into art. But using uli on fabric is actually something very new and not even common. And it's one of the things that you have been able to revive and currently going to be showcased as part of the exhibition. I really want you to tell me something.
Okay.
It is easy for you when you started your career to have just settled in the commercial aspect of your business to direct to consumer, but you decided B2B at a point in time. I want to know, at what point did you realize that I need to do this on a large scale because the impact is there? Because what exactly made you make that switch?
I attended a program. It was with the assemblies, like their name, and it's a creative program. And so we were in the room. We did pitching, like the program. We were taught a lot of things, and at the end of the day, we had to like pitch our businesses. And in the room, we had many fashion designers. And then I pitched my business as a producer, and also like I'm into production and also into fashion. So one of the facilitators now called me after the pitching, and he said one thing: why not go into the production? So you'll be producing for all the people in this room. That was just it. I'm like, okay. So now what happened then was I deleted everything on my Instagram page. I deleted my story. I started a new story. Now it took me back to why I even started a business in the first place. So apart from promoting the art and preserving the text and also the people. So I have a slogan. I said, if you don't preserve the people that makes this textile, the textile itself won't be preserved. Because when I did my NYC, I mentioned I like to be part of my job. I commissioned some women in Ondo State to do Aso-Oke for me, and I go there to sit with them, chat. Probably that's why they used to like me, because I mess myself with them.
Part of the process. Yes.
Their lifestyle.
It's not. They are not just commissioning.
No, I sit, we gist. I feed their children. I help them bring this, bring that. I do all I'm so mixed with them, and they are so comfortable with me. So when I commissioned these women to do Aso-Oke for me, stories upon stories, they were telling me how people will come all over from many places to come and do a job. And when you look at the way how these women live, like the poor, their children are malnourished, like all of this is, I'm like, okay, this is it. These guys need to be fed well. I mean, they need to be protected as well, because they can't be doing their stuff on an empty stomach. So what I did, every artisans I've worked with, I teach them business 101.
Interesting.
Every artisan I worked with, I call you, I ask you to tell me how much do you sell, how much do you buy, how much, I will tell you what you're making. Sometimes I tell them, do you know you don't make nothing? They are just exchanging money, they are not making money. Because that was what happened in the case of these women. When I was speaking with them, I'm like, oh, you buy thread this amount. It took you like 2 weeks to do this job. When I do the whole calculation, before they finish the job, the money don't finish it. They are left with nothing. So I'm like, oh, they are being exploited. What I was doing then, I became the intermediary. So because I am here, and I mean, they don't have access to the market beyond their environment. So because I'm here, when if there is a business, I'm the one that does the negotiation.
Yeah.
I give them theirs, take mine, they make money, I make money, everybody's happy.
Yep.
But when people talk to them directly, they tend to take advantage.
Yes.
That was what I figured out, I realized. But because I know I won't be there all the time, I had to teach them business 101. And they are, because like I said, I like to immerse myself with them. They are so comfortable with me. And that's the only way they open up to tell me, this is what we bought. I said, how many days do you spend doing this job? So the guy I worked last, I worked with last in Akere, I pay him more than every other person is paying me. Because we did business 101, we figured out that he's not making money. I said, increase your price. It took him time to do that, but before he did that, I had already started paying him what
do you believe is what?
I have someone in Akere as well. This man is the highest stamp cutter in Lagos. He's from Ghana, but has been in Lagos for like God knows when. Every day he's complaining there is no money. I said, but look, you're doing too much. Why would you say there is no money? I said, okay, tell me, how much are you buying this? You go to Mushin, you come back, blah, blah. You're not making money. He said, if you increase the money, they will not agree to pay. I said, I'm the one telling you, maybe I will still come back to cost this time.
Yeah.
You have to increase this money because I'll still come back.
Yeah.
That's the only way you make money. If not, I come back in the next 20 years, you're still where you are.
Yeah.
So again, is they don't.
If not run out of business.
Education also is a problem. Awareness is a problem. I plan on having a way to engage with them more in the future. But now there are just so many things.
Yeah, this is great. I was looking at your factory and your artisans that you have downstairs. Team working on projects currently, and I see it's a lot of work having to do that and still running the business. I know that all too well how much that will mean at the scale that you are at. I can only imagine. One of the things that I found when I was looking up was that in 2024, you happen to be the only tie and dye brand that have been able to treat your dye waste. What's that?
Yeah.
You have been the only one that has been able to treat it before you dispose it, and that makes it healthier for the environment. It makes it just much of a sustainable practice. I'm going to guess that this is one of the things that got you access into more global opportunities because of the internationality around the environment. But at what point did you realize that was a problem, and you realize that no, we have to solve it? And what are you still doing about it?
I mean, from the first point, the first time I encountered dyeing, I knew that was a problem because then I remember, during our lunchtime, the roads that we take to go and get lunch, that's where the water passed from. And the stink, the smell, all of those things. I'm like, okay. And that textile is like almost the third most polluted industry in the world, or second. I'm not so sure, but it's one of them. So from the beginning, I had the sustainability goal in mind. Now, for me, when I go out to have conversations, I tell people I don't talk sustainability. I do sustainability. There's no point of talking. When I do it, you come.
Yeah.
You see it for yourself. So sustainability has been the key, one of the key reasons why I need to operate. When you look around you, a very small community. Yeah. And I need to care not just about my business, but also the community, the people that lives around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it was integrated, the plan was integrated from the get-go of this place, to make sure that the water is properly treated, disinfected before disposing it. We are constantly upgrading the system.
Yeah.
Right now, we want to upgrade it to where we have to reuse the water. But now it goes out to the environment safe.
Yeah.
But the next thing for us is to be able to
Reuse.
recycle and reuse the water.
That's absolutely brilliant. I love that you're doing such an incredible work that is not just relevant to your practice, but also relevant to the environment you are practicing, and also prioritizing the artisans and prioritizing that if they don't survive, the practice doesn't survive.
Practice doesn't survive.
I think it's so beautiful that you do all that. You've been able to work with Shell, Total, WhatsApp, Nike, among many other big corporations. One of the things, yes, collaborations, of course, and absolutely being able to just be the choice person at the end of the day for the people that, and picking the people to work with, particularly around some of it are projects, some of it are lectures. So one of the things that I'm curious about is like, what gets you whenever you have to do this project that sort of amplifies the Nigerian fabric culture, not just the fabric culture, but also the artisan culture on a global stage. How do you feel?
Should I use the word fulfilled?
Okay.
There is this excitement that comes that you can explain, especially when I see, on the runway, I see the textile is going on the runway, and I met someone. I've not seen this girl from Adam. Like I don't know her, but for the fact that she's wearing Adire, I felt like I've known her. We felt she's from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
We felt connected.
It's a belonging.
Well, yeah. I'm like, in my head, do I know you before? I think I've seen you before.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, so just that fulfillment, that it gives me a lot of joy to be like, I'm here seated, looking at these things on the wrong way, like how people appreciate how, like how the white will be like, yeah, I love what you're wearing, like it gives me unexplainable joy.
So Adire has become the cool. You're looking to make Uli the cool also. You did a project with Chimamanda. You happen to have included Chimamanda. Talk about that project.
So, like we for Uli, right? Uli the body art and wall art, but we don't have access to those walls and those body art. How do we make Uli to live long? So how do I tell someone tomorrow, oh, this is Uli art? The only way I can
when the buildings have been crushed.
The only way I can do it is to, put them in things that live longer, which is in the clothes, interiors, a lot of fashion crafts, fashion crafts basically, even architecture.
Documentary also, which you also doing.
When you said something about architecture, Uli is definitely perfect on architecture.
Beautiful.
And people are going to see that next in projects I'll be working on. Uli, an architecture are done with Uli.
So what I was even talking about is the fact that, like, it sounds strange because I remember when we were being taught all this art in school, we were not taught deeply. We were not taught like it is ours.
Ours, yeah.
So it felt like it's just one of the things you should know that was of the past. Do you understand? It doesn't feel like, okay, this is what is yours. This is what belongs to your people. Or this is how people at certain places from where you come from, how they represented themselves. And for me, that's how I've always felt with Adire. That's how it is always beautiful to know that when I see Igbo pattern. But of course, we see that in movies. We used to see, except they are making any old movies, there's not a lot of it today again. So we need documentary, and I think there's not a bigger service you could do in documenting these patterns and this Uli, but unlike putting them on fabric, on
objects, art, architecture.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I can imagine a future where you have all these pattern barricades they are putting in front of buildings now. I forget what it's called. That the pattern is now either in Adire or Uli. So I think it's so brilliant.
When you look at the ceiling, so you could see different patterns. You have in CBD here, you have Adire here, you have Uli, we have all of those things. So because we are here to promote Nigerian textiles, so we have to touch as many as possible. The Adire is gaining its presence, accolade, and all of that. There are other now, not because those guys also, I mean, the artists and or the artisans also, they also need to feed.
Okay.
And you know that those things are their inheritance.
Yeah.
They are not happy to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely.
They only abandon it when it's not fetching them anything.
Absolutely.
But can that fetch them something? Yes, if they are patronized.
Because,
So that's the mission, to be able to like keep them in business, and they are able to make income with what is left with what they are doing.
I think that's absolutely beautiful. One of the questions that I want to also ask you is particularly around Akwete.
Okay.
Akwete. Is this similar to Aso-Oke?
Yeah. So this is Akwete,
Okay.
right? I mean, it's similar to Aso-Oke.
Okay.
Aqua is clothes. Asho
Oh.
is clothes.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the only difference is the location and the technique of weaving.
Oh,
Right.
brilliant! I can see the difference. It's more like the patterns
Yeah,
on
the
these
pattern.
versus the entire fabric.
Exactly. So Akwete accommodates more intricate pattern, more than Aso-Oke.
Yes.
And Akwete is on a bigger loom
Okay.
than Aso-Oke is more like a narrow
Design,
But this-
specifically made on strips.
Like this is 80 inches by 50. So it allows a wider loom. Like what can it easy use?
Yeah, interesting.
Is Aso-Oke.
Okay, now I know the difference.
Yeah, that's the difference basically. Location and the loom
Okay.
and the name.
Okay.
So when Akwete is not done in Akwete, it's not considered
Akwete.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So I also, with this, I also say that the Chinese imported in Adire inspired print. It's not Adire. It's printed fabric.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's
So,
printed
so I'm curious about something. Particularly talking about exports, imports. Like a lot of creator, the mentality is always like, Omo, you have to go out to Nigeria is not good for you. Go and make money from outside the country and all of that. What I see that you're doing is that you're exporting, you're showing something of value and exporting that.
Yeah.
And what would be your thoughts on that practice? Particularly, how did you realize that the goal is not necessarily to go and find something cool over there and sell here, but we have a lot of cool stuff here and it's worthy of export.
I mean, like I said, to share, as I will remember, to share our culture.
Yeah.
So that's why I need to export. If I don't export, I'm not necessarily like sharing as much as I should. And where there is no other better place to do all of these things than here.
Yeah, I also agree. I think it's also part of the reason why you're having the exhibition is to make more people discover all these and understand the story
and appreciate them.
Absolutely. I think it's so brilliant. So let's talk about in the beginning. There was clothes. So what are some of the most interesting things that people need to look forward to? So particularly, what are you looking forward to?
I mean, I think I'm looking forward to people just coming to immerse themselves in originality and culture. You know, being that many people know textile as clothes, but what else would textile be other than clothes? It could be many things. You know, remember that during the transatlantic trade, when our people, millions of Africans were sold into the slave trade, they didn't just go. They also left with our culture. They also left with our attitude. They also left with a lot from us. That's why when you go there, you see them with their braids. You see them with they still want to. They still remembers home. They still want things that makes them they still want to associate with things that makes them remember home. Home is home, regardless.
Absolutely.
So I want people to come and experience. Experience. I want to give them experience.
Beautiful. All right. So, what would you say that at the end of the day, that if you can take one thing away from in the beginning, there was we are going to talk about that title too, because that title I love it so much. I saw it. I'm like, oh, in the beginning there was clothes, because it just reinstate the whole idea of origin in the head. It's like we have something that is of ours. We are this place has a root, it has a meaning. And it's almost like the essence of this exhibition is to make you see that. I think it's so brilliant. I'd like you to talk about that, but also is at the end of the day, if there's one thing that if you don't take anything away from this exhibition, I want you to be able to take one more thing away apart from the fabric. You still take the fabric away too, but like with inclusive of this, what would it be?
I really like the title because I think that it's poetic. I mean, I'm certain that quite a number of people, or even everybody, would agree with me that it's a lovely title, and it already speaks to a sense of what everyone would expect. You're coming to see origin. You're coming to see how cloth, our African fabrics, as Nigerians, were used before. The regular outfits that everybody wears now. You're coming to not just see fabrics in itself, but you're coming to see stories. And I think that that's a wonderful title.
In the beginning, there was clothes is exploring the political, cultural, and historic aspect of textile. So before this was this. Before before let's say makeups, there was uli. That's what we use. So I mean, that's like in the beginning there was clothes. Before the social media, what are the means we use in communication, fighting?
Yeah.
I mean, they said in Yoruba there are some words that women are not allowed to say, but those words are written on cloth. So before social media, at the point in time, before social media, before the whole adornment, there was something. What was that? That's the conversation.
Uli, actually, for those that still practicing, is mostly still used now during bridal celebrations, and many other celebrations like that. I think you're doing incredible service to your culture by being able to platform and amplify this. So great talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, final invitation to the guests. When is the show?
Hi, my name is IFEBUCHE MADU. This is me officially inviting you to In the Beginning There Was Clothes, a textile exhibition that will be happening on the 27th September. It will run to 1st of October. The show will feature Adire. I would want you to come and experience how our textiles were used at a certain period of time, and Akwete, and the last is Uli. You're coming to have an immersive experience a live painting, a live weaving section on that day. And guess what? You will also be getting Uli designs on your bodies. It's going to be happening at the Red Dog Gallery from 27th September to 1st of October. See you there.